you shop around, you can now get the AirPods Max for less than £500 or $500. But that still makes them quite expensive, which begs the question, how do these compare against audiophile headphones and the growing range of Bluetooth headphone DACs? AirPods Max are one of the most popular products on this channel, and virtually every day I get asked two questions about them. The first one is, are they worth all that money? And the second one is, do they work with lossless audio? Now I can answer that second question straight away. They do not work with lossless audio. That's just down to Bluetooth. It's just not possible. But when it comes to value for money, they are expensive. And I think comparing them against some of the audiophile competition is actually pretty interesting. So today I'm going to compare them against a pair of Sennheiser audiophile headphones, but also two very interesting portable Bluetooth headphone DAC and amps. Now, in terms of the gear that I'm using for this comparison, there are 4 bits of kit in front of me. Well, I suppose 5 actually. The first one is AirPods Max. These are Apple's most expensive headphones, and they are also one of the most expensive consumer headphones on the market. The other pair of headphones on my desk are these, which are the Sennheiser HD560S. Now, these are about £150, which makes them very much an entry-level pair of audiophile headphones. I love them. They're right up my street in terms of the sound they produce, and they're very budget friendly. They're also a very different pair of headphones to the AirPods Max. They don't have noise cancelling, you connect them via a cable, and they're open backed, so they do leak sound out. Also on this desk I have this, which is the iFi Gryphon, and this is a Bluetooth wireless headphone amp and DAC. The other thing on my desk is this, which is the T. Yep, TEA, no idea why, but the T headphone amp and DAC from a company called Khadas, I think that's how you pronounce it. Now this does pretty much the exact same thing as the Gryphon, but it's quite a bit cheaper. Well, cheaper, it's £200 versus the £600 of this, but it does the same thing. It's a headphone amp and DAC which connects to your device via Bluetooth. The difference with this one, apart from the price, is the fact that it's a lot smaller, but also it has MagSafe. So if you have an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13, it attaches via magnets to the back of your phone, and it's a very neat way of adding lossless audio to your iPhone. Now, a very quick note on both of these things. I keep calling these wireless. They are wireless insofar as they connect via Bluetooth to your Mac or to your phone, but they don't transmit lossless audio wirelessly. That's not really a thing at the moment. That's something that's a whole other topic. What they do, like I say, is connect to your phone or your device via Bluetooth, but you still have to connect a pair of headphones to get that lossless signal. Now, the other option we have with all this stuff, obviously, is to connect your wired headphones to your iPhone via one of these, which is a Lightning to headphone jack converter. So there's lots of different hardware on this desk. Let's dig into it. So starting with the Gryphon, as I mentioned before, this isn't cheap, it's £600, but you're getting a lot of tech in this for that money. It's basically a fully portable premium DAC and headphone amp. It supports all of the major lossless formats, including PCM, MQA, DXD, and DSD. And in fact, it shares a lot of the same I/O and stuff inside it as the flagship Pro iDSD, which costs £3,000. It's also battery powered, it has 8 hours of battery life. In my experience, that is bang on. You can probably get more out of it than that. The standby time is absolutely fantastic as well. Build quality, it's superb. It feels so solid, and it's a mixture of kind of plastic, a bit of metal as well, but it feels like a substantial piece of hardware. I love the clickiness of the volume wheel there. There's a lovely OLED display on the top which shows you the bit rate, the audio format, battery status, all that sort of stuff. And apart from Bluetooth, you can also connect this to your phone via USB-C. There's also 3.5 and 4.4 balanced outputs for your headphones. You do need a decent pair of headphones to get the most out of these things, really. The Sennheiser HD560S headphones are great, I love them, but to really get the most and to really notice the biggest difference when you start using this stuff, you need a really top quality pair of headphones. But for me, there's 2 winning features on this, which are X-Bass and X-Space. And these are basically boosters. So the X-Bass, as you would guess, boosts the bass frequencies, and X-Space kind of widens the soundstage. So even though this is quite an expensive bit of kit, I think if you like your sound and you've bought a nice pair of headphones like these Sennheisers, there is a lot to be said for something that is this small, this well built, and that includes a lot of the features that you get from a £3,000 headphone DAC and amp. Now the T from Khadas, I really hope I'm pronouncing Khadas right, guys, sorry if I'm not, but the T is a very different piece of kit to the Gryphon in so many ways. Obviously it's a lot cheaper, in inverted commas, but also it's a lot thinner. It's a much smaller device. Therefore, as you would guess, it's not packing quite as much tech as the Gryphon, but it's still, out of the box, if you listen to these side by side, if you A/B test them, they sound pretty much identical with those Sennheisers. The biggest thing that this has going for it, I think, is the size, but also the fact that if you are an iPhone user, you get the benefits of MagSafe. You know, the ability just to put that on the back of your phone, and it doesn't really add much thickness at all. I think it's such a smart looking bit of kit. It's very well built, just like the Gryphon. It feels very solid, lots of metal being used. It's not too heavy either as well, but that MagSafe capability is an absolute winner. Now, in terms of connectivity, again, obviously Bluetooth is there, but you can also connect it to your device via USB-C or Lightning. And actually you get both of those cables in the box, which is quite nice. The battery for this is rated at 8 hours, and again, just like the Gryphon, that is bang on. It's also compatible with all of the major lossless formats, including MQA, Sony LDAC, and aptX HD. The one thing this doesn't have is any kind of EQ boosting features like the X-Bass thing on the Gryphon, but it is a very clean, wide, detailed sound. So they've done well to pack all of that into such a small package. The only thing I would say about this, going back to the MagSafe thing and the design, is that the magnets could be a little bit stronger. That might be a fault of MagSafe itself, I don't know. I've had problems with MagSafe in the past where things come off in your pocket. This is the same. You can quite easily knock it off in your pocket. It won't fall off. You can shake this and it won't come off at all. But if you are looking for something which is lossless audio on the go and has a really neat way of attaching it to your iPhone, I don't think you can get better than this T. So what do the AirPods Max sound like compared to the combination of these headphone amps and those Sennheisers? And I tested this with all of the X-Bass and X-Bass stuff turned off. With that being the case, these sound a lot fuller, there's a lot more bass, but the most noticeable thing is their top end. These feel really, really bright. Now, I quite like that, but it's surprising how bright they are when you compare them against a pair of audiophile headphones. And typically, audiophile headphones like the Sennheisers are far more conservative when it comes to their EQ profile. They're much flatter than these. So these have been tuned, as I've said in the past, I think, to sound expensive. And that does mean really rich bass, a very high, kind of artificially high top end, and also that kind of dipped middle. Like I say, I don't mind that sound at all, but it won't be for everyone. And I feel that with extended listening, the AirPods Max will tire your ears much quicker than something like the Sennheisers. What I would say is that as soon as you turn on the X-Bass and X-Space features on this Gryphon, the Sennheisers start to sound far more like the AirPods Max. So I don't think audiophiles will be too happy with the sound that these make, but then you're probably not an audiophile if you've got this far in this video. I'm not an audiophile either, which is why I like the sound of this as much as I like the sound of these with the Gryphon with that X-Bass and X-Space turned on. The other thing to bear in mind, even though it has nothing to do with the sound, is the convenience factor of headphones like the AirPods Max. So these are wireless. Yes, you can connect them. I don't recommend doing that, but these are Bluetooth wireless headphones, which means you just put them on your head, and particularly if you're using Apple gear, the connection is just seamless. Whereas with headphones like the Sennheisers, because they're wired, even though you can now pair them with devices like this to make them a bit more portable, you've still got this wire to contend with. So when it comes to mobility and convenience, you really have to want the kind of cleaner and more accurate sound offered by a setup like this compared to the AirPods Max. Of course, if you don't want to spend either £600 or even £200 on one of these headphone amps or DACs, the other option you have to connect your wired headphones to your iPhone is via one of these. And this is a Lightning to headphone jack adapter. Now this is of course a much cheaper option. It's about £15–20 or something like that, but it basically connects to your iPhone via the Lightning jack, and then gives you that headphone jack. But what does this sound like compared to the likes of these? I sat down and did a little bit of testing, and the first thing you notice is that if you plug your headphones into your iPhone via one of these, the volume you get compared to something like the T is much lower. But in terms of the sound, it's not that different actually. You get a bit more warmth and detail and a bit of a wider soundstage with the likes of the Gryphon and the T compared to this. But again, you only notice that if you A/B test them. The only real difference really is the amount of volume you can get out of these compared to this. Apart from that, this is quite a good performer actually, and obviously it's a lot more convenient. For instance, slipping the Gryphon into your pocket is a little bit cumbersome, even though it's quite a nice size, and also you have to charge this. You don't have to charge that. So what can we conclude out of all this? The first thing I would say is that the Gryphon is a brilliant contender for both a portable and a desktop headphone amp. I know it's £600, which is a lot of money, but I'm genuinely tempted to make this my main headphone amp. It's that good, and the battery life is just fantastic. Now the T, I wouldn't use this as my main headphone amp and DAC personally. I think this is more for proper audiophiles who just want a better signal from their phone. But comparing it against one of these lightning to headphone jack adapters, I think unless you are a real audiophile who wants to know they're getting the best possible signal from their iPhone, I'd save yourself 180 quid and get yourself one of these. Coming back to the AirPods Max, I think they are an acquired taste if you really like your audio. I think they can be a little bit too bright at the top end. The bass might be a bit too much for some people. But the way they stack up against something like the Gryphon, when you turn on all the kind of boosting features on here, is actually quite impressive. I think the thing to bear in mind with all of this stuff is that unless you're an audiophile, and unless you're sitting there A/B testing things, if you bought any of the combination of things on this desk, you would be happy. The AirPods Max sound great. The Sennheisers sound really good and less kind of coloured than the AirPods Max, whether they're connected to one of these, the Gryphon, or the T. It all comes down to your budget, the convenience factor. Do you really want to be walking around with a cable these days? And whether you listen analytically to your music or if you just enjoy it. Now, if you're still tempted by the AirPods Max after this video and you like the fact that the price is starting to creep down, which it needs to, then keep watching for a link to my full long-term review of these headphones. But until next time, thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.